and I think we're going to make 6 or 7 times. I think the stock is now 225, 230, 250. I think it's going to be 500 in 2025, and I think in 2030 it's going to be 1,500. That's my targets. It's the same price it was 3 years ago, and the business is 3 times bigger. The business is 3 times bigger now. Now they're going to do 2 million cars this year. 3 years ago, they were doing 500,000 cars when I sold our 6.8 million shares. So basically, it's the same price it was 3 years ago when the business is now 3 times bigger.
In this video, billionaire investor Ron the Goat Barron shares some thoughts on Tesla stock and says he can see the stock doubling and then tripling again. Has some thoughts on long-term investing versus short-term gambling. Low-key eviscerates one of the loudest folks on Wall Street covering Tesla stock, exposing his true motivations. Shares what appears to be some inside information about Tesla I've never heard said out loud before. Ron also shares some thoughts on the Mark Zuckerberg Elon Musk cage match. And a heads up to my Patreon supporters, or those of you who are finally going to join with the link at the pinned comment. Just posted another exclusive video, an automotive CEO really getting desperate now. Check out the link at the pinned comment.
Tesla has been on a big run the last few months. It's up 115% so far in 2023, and our next guest is one of Tesla's biggest shareholders. Joining us right now in an exclusive interview is Ron Barron. He's the chairman and CEO of Barron Capital. So Tesla, you got into this back in 2014, right? 2014 was your first purchase of Tesla?
So I met him in 2010.
Yeah.
And when I was interviewing, and I say we invest in people, bet on people. And when he was at our annual meeting last year and I was interviewing him, he says, well, it took you quite a while to invest in me. It was 4 years, actually. So in 2010, I met him, followed it. 2014, after the stock had gone up, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 times, 6 times. At that point, we started investing. And we invested.
Why? What finally dragged you in?
Well, I kept following and kept going to visit him, and finally he was telling me, gee, we're going to grow 50% a year in units as far as the eye can see. And he was doing 31,000 cars a year then, 31,000 cars. And ultimately, we had this meeting for a couple hours in Fremont, and I walked away with Mike Lippert, and I said, man, I can't believe I don't own this yet.
So it took Ron 4 years following the Tesla story before he actually purchased Tesla stock. What about you guys? How long were you following Tesla before you bought your first share?
Stock was $80 on the way to $200, up from $25 where it came public. And then we've split since then. But anyway,
yeah, you've ridden this. I mean, we're looking at the long-term stock. You rode that all the way up.
Yep.
You were in it all the way down, but then back up again, which is what we've seen this year.
We're not quite all the way down. So we invested $380 million, and we made about $4 billion so far.
Wow.
And we've cashed in about $1.5 billion. We sold for clients 6.8 million shares.
Yeah.
Three years ago at $225 a share, up 15 or 20 times. And we now have 17.5 million shares. And I think we're going to make 6 or 7 times. I think the stock is now 225, 230, 250. I think it's going to be 500 in 2025, and I think in 2030 it's going to be 1,500. That's my targets.
That awkward moment when I have to point out that Ron Barron expecting a 6x or so on Tesla stock between now and 2030 is extremely bearish. I suspect he isn't at all factoring in autonomy. That said, I don't think there'd be too many investors out there who'd be disappointed with a 6x on their stock over the next 7 years.
I think when you sold because you were worried that it was becoming such a huge part of your portfolio. It had risen so much, and I think at the time you told us you wanted to, it was part of your mandate as your funds. You couldn't have one stock be such a big part of your portfolio.
I wanted people to know that I hadn't died. And, that's why they still own the stock. So I just, and I was getting criticized for being such a large holding.
One of the many reasons I'm glad I don't manage money for other people. Imagine feeling pressure from those around you, including clients, because you own too much of this generational opportunity. Ron didn't say, yeah, you know what, I thought that the stock had probably seen most of its gains, so I sold. No. He felt pressure from people. They were in his ear. Tesla's too much of a position in your fund, Ron. You should sell some Tesla, Ron. You own too much Tesla, Ron. It's just crazy to me. Imagine in 20, 30 years' time, what could have been. And again, this is one of the many reasons why I'm glad I don't manage money for other people. Although, in fairness, I do not give a flying fuck about people's opinions, so I would ignore them entirely. Oh, I own too much Tesla? Cool, well, don't own my fund. And if you operate like that, though, you probably won't have a huge amount of clients. Meanwhile, the fund I do manage, my own capital is still 100% concentrated in a single stock, Tesla. And I suspect I will have literally zero regrets in 10, 20, 30 years' time. Not sure many other folks can say the same.
And I don't normally buy stocks. I haven't really since 1992. I've been investing in our funds. But I am allowed to buy private companies, and I have a big investment in SpaceX. But in Tesla, I own personally 5 million shares. I bought it after all of my clients had bought their stock.
In case you're wondering, Ron personally, not in his fund, personally owns over $1.25 billion of Tesla stock. Not bad.
And I said to the board of our mutual funds, I said, look, I'm not going to buy stock for myself any longer. I'm only going to invest in our funds and in private deals. But in this instance, I think we're going to make 20 times our money. I'd like to invest $50 million. And if that works out, then Barron Capital will be stronger financially. And if it doesn't, I can afford to lose. It wouldn't be pleasant, but I will take the chance. And I said that if you approve this, I'm the last person to buy. I'm not taking anyone's opportunity. I tried to get everyone else to buy, and I wasn't that successful. I'm the last one to buy, and I will be the last one to sell. I will not sell a single share for myself until I sell for all my clients. Last in, last out. Okay. And so I bought for the clients. We sold about a quarter of their stock. I haven't sold a single share personally.
Isn't that interesting? Ron Barron personally owns a shitload of Tesla stock, and he hasn't sold a single share yet. Barron funds have sold plenty of Tesla stock, feeling pressure from investors. Once again, I'd just like to point out, this is one of the many reasons I'm glad I don't manage money for other people. Imagine feeling so much pressure from your clients that you do something you know doesn't make sense and that they will regret simply because of the amount of pushback you're getting. This kind of pressure from investors in your funds could cause people to act rather erratically, irrationally, and embarrassingly, simply because they want to be perceived as doing the right thing by their clients rather than doing what they know is actually right, which are often different things. No wonder Ron hasn't had a run for Tesla's board of directors yet. I'm just kidding.
It's now $4.5 billion, your holdings in Tesla. That's more than 10%. If you've got $41 billion in assets under management, it's now more than 10% of your funds. Does that get you back to the point where you start to worry it's too big again? Would you sell again for your clients so you're not too beholden to one stock in your funds?
It's a little bit less than 10. I think that, no, it's not anywhere near. I've been very careful about explaining to people about the funds that do own this stock and the clients. And clients periodically call up and they say, it's a little bit too much for me. Can you sell a little bit? Whatever they ask, I'll do.
Ron's starting to sound a little bit like a doormat, isn't he? Whatever his clients ask, he'll do, even if that means selling Tesla stock. Obeying orders from your clients really sounds like a fun way to live, doesn't it?
And I told him, I think that you're going to make from these levels a double in the next 3 years, and you're going to make after that, you're going to make to a triple again. So I think you're going to make 7 times your money over the next 7 or 8 years.
Andrew's got a question too. Andrew?
Oh, I'm going to get
Ron,
to why.
I was so curious if you'd explain what your thoughts were on this opening up of the charging stations that Tesla is doing. It's such a remarkable thing, and I think great for the country. Should be good for Tesla, but could cut both ways in that it's also creating opportunity for Ford and General Motors.
I think that it's not that big a deal economically for Tesla, but it's going to make more charging stations available, so people will be less worried about buying an electric car, thinking that they will be able to charge it wherever they go. Most people charge their cars at home at night, so I don't think it's that big a deal.
My thoughts exactly. It doesn't move the needle at all for Tesla, but it's great for electric vehicle adoption in general. It's almost like Tesla's mission statement is, in fact, their mission statement, as opposed to a bunch of corporate wankery and jargon, which is usually propaganda, does not act as a North Star, and everyone working at the company knows that.
But it will. There's 4,500 stations right now, and 45,000 chargers, plugs. This is better technology. It's faster technology. It's going to make people. His whole idea is to transform our country and the world to electrification, to electric cars, and this is helpful. So basically, you buy a Ford, you buy a General Motors car, you're going to be able to charge your cars and not worry about it because there's going to be a lot of stations you're going to go to, and it's going to make it clearer that this is a really coming thing, and everyone's going to. What's really interesting as well is that most people would perceive Tesla as a rich man's toy, as a car that's very expensive. The average car in the United States is now $48,000 a car. $48,000 a car. Last year, Tesla cars were $50,000 without a subsidy. This year, they're $40,000 with a $7,500 subsidy, and therefore, they're $33,000. $33,000, you can buy a Tesla where you're buying a regular, and that's like a BMW, better than a BMW 3. And so, the Tesla Y is the biggest selling car in the whole world. The Tesla Model 3 is $33,000. And you compare it to any car. This is not a Toyota Corolla or a BYD. This is a Tesla. And when you're buying this car, you get an amazing value. So it's absurdly cheap, $33,000 for a car.
This is true. In the United States in particular, the value for money when purchasing a Tesla Model 3 or Y, the 3 in particular due to the lower entry price, it's absurdly good value. And Tesla's making these things as fast as they possibly can. Every time Tesla sells one of these vehicles, somebody takes delivery, their friends, family, colleagues, neighbors start asking, hey, I notice you have a Tesla. Tell me about it. Next minute, they hear the whole spiel, and many of these people then also order a Tesla.
So the idea is there's only 6% of cars that are now electric, so there's 94% that aren't. There's also a 2 billion car fleet. 1% is electrified. So there's a really big opportunity for growth. Number one, the charging stations. That's an important deal because everyone's going to now know that they can charge their cars everywhere. Insurance, that's another thing that just helps people buy cars. Tesla's return on investment. So most companies, when they make an investment, they make a 15% return on capital. That's target. They won't make an investment unless they can make 15% return on equity on the investment, on capital. Tesla, when they were making a profit of $15,000 a car, they built a plant for 1 million cars, and it cost $7 billion. And that plant would make $15,000 in profit a car. They're making $15 billion on a $7 billion investment.
Ron, let me just interrupt for a second.
Thanks for interrupting, Becky. Right as Ron was disclosing some numbers about how much Tesla is spending to produce a 1 million unit per year capacity factory and what the ROI on that once it's fully ramped is. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's really good. There was definitely no chance Ron was going to further elaborate on these numbers and share more information that hasn't been publicly disclosed by Tesla directly. Now, I do want to take a moment there, in case you guys missed that. Ron, at least based on what he's been told, and he does talk to Tesla, so these may be legitimate numbers straight from the horse's mouth. Tesla capex about $7 billion to get a 1 million unit per year factory up and running and fully ramped. That factory then returning $15 billion in profits per year. Typical company might be happy with a 15% return on capital. Tesla, a 200% return on capital. This is one of the most underrated aspects of Tesla's business. They are extremely resourceful, so lean and capital efficient. Imagine as an investor if you were getting these kind of returns on your stock portfolio. Invest 10 grand, make $20,000 in the first year, and then another 20 the next year, and you get it, right? But it kind of feels like somebody who owns Tesla stock might have actually seen those returns. Isn't that interesting?
And Stanley, Adam Jonas, yesterday, he's been a big bull on this stock for a long time. He downgraded it because he said the price is just too high at this point. Still likes the company, but just says it's run pretty far, pretty fast.
Adam's clients are hedge funds. And basically, we sold our, so it's unusual that the stock went down the day before.
Wait, are you suggesting the hedge fund clients had that information the day before?
No, I have no idea. But you're talking to someone all the time who has an opinion, analyst, and he's trying to generate brokerage commissions. I'm trying to be a long-term investor.
Oh, unintentional shots fired here from Ron Barron. He's got a point, by the way. Ron is a long-term investor. Again, he's owned Tesla stock. He's got 5 million shares and hasn't sold a single share. Meanwhile, you got Adam Jonas every 3 seconds chasing the stock up, chasing the stock down, and getting roasted relentlessly on YouTube. You guys have to understand, most of the analysts, using the term loosely, covering Tesla stock, aren't long-term investors. Most, if not all of them, aren't even able to own the stocks they cover. So how do they make money? How do they get paid? It's not for being right about the stocks they're covering. Just saying. Long-term investing, that's what we're about. And
so when the stock goes down like it did last year, you don't worry because you figure eventually it's going to right size again?
I think Becky's onto something here. That's right. If you're a long-term investor and you actually know why you own a stock in the first place, and the reason you own a stock is because you've done some thinking and some homework, not because a friend told you to buy it, you stuck your finger in the air and thought, the wind's blowing this way, I better buy this stonk, but you actually know why you're investing. You've got an investment thesis. If the stock collapses, of course you don't panic, and you especially don't panic sell. And even worse, you don't panic sell and then tell the entire internet that you panic sold, because the internet never forgets. Instead, you go, oh, great, another buying opportunity. It's kind of funny that Becky's asked this out loud. It's totally right, though. I find it interesting. I often see people describing how difficult it is holding Tesla stock. Lots of ups and downs. I don't really relate. Maybe that's because I'm an autist who doesn't experience emotion, or maybe it's because I'm a long-term investor and I have absolutely no interest in what Tesla stock's doing today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week, or next year. I'm looking out 10, 20 plus years into the future. And because I have a brain, I don't invest money I'll need tomorrow or next year, so I don't need to touch it, so I can just leave the stock alone and continue accumulating when I've got the spare cash. I do, once again, just want to point out, those folks who did panic recently and sell Tesla stock or tell the world it was going lower and were super confident in these predictions about the stock price, which, as we know, is completely idiotic because no one can predict what a stock price is going to do. No one. If they tell you otherwise, they're full of shit. They either believe their own shit or they're just lying to you. Don't know what's worse. So those who did panic sell, those who told everybody they knew the stock would be going low, are very confident. These people have exposed themselves as short-term gamblers, emotional traders, and definitely not long-term investors. When Tesla stock collapsed down almost 80% from all-time highs, there wasn't a single long-term investor who was concerned, at least no long-term investors who had a grasp on their emotions.
The most amazing, I was not worried. But for clients, the stock went from 300 to 100.
Yeah.
It's now 225, but 250. It's the same price it was 3 years ago, and the business is 3 times bigger. The business is 3 times bigger now. Now they're going to do 1.8 million, 2 million cars this year. 3 years ago, they were doing 500,000 cars when I sold our 6.8 million shares. So basically, it's the same price it was 3 years ago when the business is now 3 times bigger.
I think Ron is indirectly referring to the DMFs who panic sold Tesla stock near $100 per share. He's right. Anyone recall, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, nothing fundamental has changed at all about Tesla, their technology, their leadership, their unassailable... You get it right. You heard me say this 1 trillion times over the last 6 months because nothing fundamental had changed. The stock price was lower, but the business itself continued to thrive, remained in a dominant position. Oh man, you can't fix stupid. If there's anything we can take away from the widespread panic over the last 6 or so months, in particular around Tesla stock, is that some people who think they're investors are in fact a puddle of emotion and are not cut out for investing. What's the saying? If you can't handle the heat, get the fuck out of the stock market. I think that's how it goes. Is that how it goes?
And so a guy could say, I have no idea if it's going to be higher or lower in the short term. Elon spoke in Paris at a conference last week, and he was with Arnaud's son. And Arnaud's son said to him, Elon, our businesses in the aggregate, LVMH, are 6,000 years old. You're a teenager. How can you stop? When are you going to stop embarrassing us with your market cap? And he says, valuations are funny. Who knows?
Exactly right. No one knows what a stock's going to be worth tomorrow, in a week, a month, a year, 10 years from now. No one knows. And if they tell you otherwise, they're either full of shit and lying to you, or they're a moron who actually thinks that they know. The best anyone could do is try to estimate an educated guess of what fair valuation is, which isn't going to represent what the stock's worth. At best, occasionally, the two might be close to one another. Occasionally. Very important to understand this.
Elon is like 30 or 40% bigger than Zuckerberg. But Zuckerberg knows martial arts. I mean, do you have in the cage match, Elon's like 6'1", I think.
Yes.
He's lost some weight, but he's like in fighting shape, I think.
He feels bigger than 6'1".
But Zuckerberg supposedly won some medals in martial arts.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who would you bet on?
I would never bet against Elon on anything.
Of course, they had to bring up the cage match. Let me know in the comments below, who's your money on, Elon or Zuck? So to recap, Ron remains extremely bearish on Tesla, only expecting the stock to 6x between now and 2030. The Wall Street NPC analysts have been exposed. They're not paid for being right about the stocks they cover, are they? And some key insights from a long-term investor with the track record to prove it. A personal net worth in excess of $1 billion, having made billions upon billions of dollars of profits for his clients, and underscores some of the key differences between being a long-term investor and an emotional trader. I know which I'd rather be. Like Ron, I haven't sold a single share of Tesla stock since I began buying. And I'll be able to say the same thing 10 years from now too. Hope everyone watching can say the same. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point, and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy. Wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.